Donald Trump, I know him about, I would say 30 years. I spent a lot of time with him on Celebrity Apprentice, and I think he's a great guy, and he was great to me. You see, he loved me because I was honest and respect. Donald can't stand liars. He can't stand cowards. He can't stand people who procrastinate. He can't stand people who don't take action for themselves to better themselves. That's what it comes down to. And I learned a lot from him about branding, and he's a good human being because if you get to know him, he's a soft-hearted guy.
Yeah.
And he speaks his mind. But so what? He says the truth. Well, in New York, being in New York, you know, they basically speak their mind as they have their feel. Like growing up with my family, I'm an Italian family, and there's so much drama in my house. There's no hanging on passive aggressiveness. It's all about speaking and saying how you feel in the moment. And a lot of times people feel in New York are kind of like rude and be obnoxious. But, you know, if someone says something to me and I have to say the truth, they say, oh, Lou is so obnoxious, you're so rude. But I said the truth. Man, I want to say like this is in a nice way, I'm going to hurt your feelings. I'm saying from New York, it's not like that. And Donald's from New York, and he says how it is. But that's the nature. Like, for example, if you go to Italy, and you drive to Italy, I made a few films there. Now, Italy, when you're driving, if somebody gets upset, they get out of the car, they scream and yell at each other without touching each other, and they drive off. It's your emotion, it's Italian. So, think about New York. It's the same kind of, you know, culture.
And Donald's a real man. That's what I love about Donald Trump, is he's a real man. There's no wishy-washy anything about him. I love his honesty. I love the way he handles his life. I can't, there's not one person that I could think of that I would rather have for president. I feel safe with him. That's the way I want to be able to live, where I can go to sleep at night, not worry so much about my children having this horrible life that's going to happen to us if he doesn't become president. And I believe that completely. Yes, we want our laws to, it's very important, I mean, to have your laws respected. And they're not being respected, they're being changed. The Constitution is getting changed. It's wrong.
It's not about banning away illegal immigrants. What about fixing the immigration system when they come here legally? Just get the proper people.
We have an immigration system.
And I think it's great. They could work just like anybody else, as long as they earn their legal immigration papers. But to come here legally, the proper way, is fine.
Yes, Donald, during the time that he was doing that show, at the very beginning, and I watched every second of everything that went on every day, and talked to Lou. When I wasn't with him in New York, I was on the phone with him talking to him. Donald completely changed. Like, he had no idea that Lou was 80%. Hard of hearing, but 80%. That's huge. And he had no idea. He completely turned Lou into, I mean, he had more respect, he had more softness, more sweetness, more kindness. I just watched him become different, knowing that he was not perfect.
Well, what happened to my life was about overcoming adversity. And after about the second or third show, I think someone told him, because a couple of times there were conversations that I kind of didn't hear. So someone mentioned him about my situation. And you know, it's funny, since I've been on Celebrity Apprentice, I had ear surgery. And it helped me tremendously. So my life changed because not just of the surgery, but being on Celebrity Apprentice, I learned so much about branding and how much you like to help people raise money. The money doesn't go in his pocket from the charity. So basically, when he understood that, he knew I was a fighter, I was a warrior. That he appreciates that, because he doesn't like people that basically they have no respect for themselves.
I have a wonderful story about Donald that nobody really knows. And when I was with him after The Apprentice that night on Sunday night, I asked him, I said, I have to hear it from you. Is it true, the story you told me about the young couple? And it was a wonderful story. Donald is a man that does a lot of things for charity that he never talks about. He never tells anybody. Sometimes it gets out, and lots of times it has not, because he doesn't work that way. He does what he does out of his heart, and he's got a very good heart. He was one time he was on his way to Vegas, and his limousine broke down. And a young couple stopped, and the man the young couple and the man said, "I will fix your tire for you," because he didn't. I mean, he's probably not a guy that does tires very well. So the young couple were there with them in the desert, and they'd just been stuck. So they put the tire. This young guy puts the tire on, gets them going again, and he thanked them profusely for helping him, and he got to Vegas very well. A week later, there's he goes to wherever, found out about his home, where he lived, where they were, and he paid off the rest of their house, the entire amount. And Donald paid off this couple's house, and
That's
they were
great.
just young, didn't have much. They were just kind to him, and he really helped them a lot. And he never told that story. He never. I don't know. I don't even remember how I knew it, but I think somebody mentioned it at some passing or something years ago, and I had to ask him because I didn't know if it was true or not. But he said yes, it's true.